this is a really interesting moment in time. It's like being given that gift back in 2014, or that gift that we got in 2019 and again in 2020 when we got that sharp correction in COVID. Those were the generational wealth making opportunities in crypto, and anybody who participated at those points did extremely well over a long enough time horizon. The idea is long term. You add into the moments. See, what you've got right now is a really interesting juncture. You've got the terrible macro, which is liquidity is being withdrawn from the system at a record rate. So we can use, let's say, year-on-year rate of change of M2 or global M2. That's coming off. Bitcoin's highly correlated. All crypto assets are highly correlated, as everything is, because liquidity coming out of the system means the price of the denominator goes up and the value of assets goes down. So what you've got is that reverse effect going on right now. Money's being taken out of the system. It's more scarce, so assets go down. Fine. So we're in the macro cycle and we're waiting for the turn of the macro cycle when eventually the interest rate markets start changing their perspective and say enough's enough, let's go back to more liquidity. And that'll be the turn in the crypto markets, which I think is coming. But what it's doing, it drove the price back down to the bottom of the exponential trend. That trend keeps going. And you could just do a log channel, a regression channel on Bitcoin or ETH or whatever, and we're down to that just over 2 standard deviations oversold level. It's about as cheap as it ever gets. So what you've got is a fantastic entry point in a long-term secular trend and a really interesting entry point in a macro trend. And I'm not talking about today or tomorrow. I'm talking about over this period of time, whether the market goes down another 30% or not. It's kind of irrelevant, because when you buy an exponential trend at the bottom, you tend to get these 10, 20, 30 X's to the upside. Now, it's probably not going to happen to Bitcoin, because, as I mentioned before, Bitcoin is further up the adoption curve. It's the oldest of the cryptocurrencies, and there's more owners of Bitcoin. Well, there's probably more holders of Bitcoin, more users of Ethereum. Ethereum network growth is generally faster. There's more network activity. It tends to outperform over time. And then we'll see newer tokens earlier in the crypto adoption cycle that will do particularly well. But this is a really interesting moment in time. It's like being given that gift back in 2014, or that gift that we got in 2019 and again in 2020 when we got that sharp correction in COVID. Those were the generational wealth making opportunities in crypto, and anybody who participated at those points did extremely well over a long enough time horizon. And time horizon is crucial in this equation. And then what we're seeing is then the rise of other utility tokens or social tokens, which are like a broader system of money or value exchange in a community. We can see 2 examples of the Ape coin within the Bored Ape Yacht Club, and that's going to give you the ability to have a system of money in the ecosystem of Yuga Labs and ecosystems around it. You can already spend it in stores and do other stuff. Or the stuff like the FTX token, which is a utility token based around FTX, the exchange, that allows you to use it for activity within the exchange and get rewarded for activity that you do, and it gives you discounts and unlocks certain things. That's a way of creating a more cohesive online society than the online societies that existed in Web 2. We didn't have that system of value transfer amongst us. So the only value transfer we could give is like on Twitter. We could give ideas, get ideas in exchange, and give people likes. But this is true value, not just behavioral value. So that, I think, scales massively, and some of these will be enormously disruptive. I mean, Facebook had the Facebook Libra project that got banned very quickly before it even got off the ground, because basically they said, well, we've got the world's biggest network, which is like 3.5 billion people between Facebook and Instagram and WhatsApp, and we're going to create a currency that people can use, a digital currency, which was a basket of world currencies. And the central banks around the world said, no way can you do that, because a digital society with 3.5 billion people in their own system of currency is the most powerful nation on earth. And they stopped it very quickly. But the rise of the digital nation state is another whole super trend. The other super trend is the rise of digital finance. So DeFi is still in its early experimental phases. As regulation clears up, more liquidity will come into DeFi, and DeFi gets rid of intermediaries out of the system and allows algorithms for the lending and borrowing, and also for the execution of bringing collateral back or giving collateral out, that all happens without having to negotiate with people. So it's a very clear, transparent system. That is going to be on the rise. There's yield coming from the space. ETH with ETH staking gives a very interesting yield because it's programmed. If you want to take the currency risk, which is ETH, if you've made the bet that you want to be in ETH, then you've got a programmable yield, which comes from staking. So now you have a money market in Web3. So then you can price risk accordingly and other interest rates that you get and yields across the marketplace. So I think, that we barely started with DeFi and where that's going. You can hear from people like Sam Bankman-Fried at FTX that my big idea back from 2012-13 that all financial securities, derivatives, equities, fixed income will go on the blockchain. I know that many of the exchanges are thinking about that. So that is coming. So eventually all securities will come on the blockchain. That means we get rid of this T+2 settlement that ties up trillions of dollars within the financial system. That comes back out of the financial system. So that becomes very interesting. We've got the rise of central bank digital currencies. So that is blockchain based digital currencies from the central banks that allows for instant payments and transfers. It also allows for new forms of fiscal stimulus because you can give money directly into wallets. So that's coming as well. And then what you're going to find is you're going to create a social graph that is like Google Analytics, where Google owns all the data, but here you're going to see what's in everybody's wallet. Did they go to this concert, buy that, part of this community, that community? So you're able to transact business or communicate with people at scale. So I think that gets very interesting as well. The other big trend that's coming is digital ID. In this world of AI and deep fakes, nobody knows who the hell is whom. And in this anonymous world of PFP figures on the internet where people aren't using their true likeness, there's the bots on all of the social media platforms. Nobody knows who's what. The state actors playing within that, whether it's China, Russia, and all of the other countries, probably the Western countries too. We need a system of identity of who the hell we are to make sure that we're verified. Now, part of the issue there is privacy. So crypto is trying to solve privacy too with something called a zero knowledge proof, which is a complex cryptographic method of proving who you are without showing people your driver's license and passport and utility bill and home address, but by saying that those things are correct and they are true, and therefore you can trust and validate this person. So I think we'll see the rise of digital identity. So listen, everything from our identity to our system of transfer payments, to the system of government money, to the system of lending, the financial markets, the rails that they operate on, and how we organize communities in this new online digital world, it's all going onto blockchain. That's how big it is.